Hey guys, welcome to ifactner.com English grammar lessons. In this lesson, we will discuss about past perfect tense. Let's see some examples. I had visited Switzerland in 2006 before I moved here in 2010. The first part of this sentence shows past perfect tense and the second part shows past simple tense. We have got another example. I did not go to the theater because I had already watched that movie. The first part shows past simple tense and the second part shows past perfect tense. Remember, wherever we use had, it means that we are using past perfect tense in most situations. From these two examples, we notice that we use past perfect tense for two actions in the past. Let's draw a timeline. This is past. This is present. And this is future on our timeline. Now, if there were two actions in the past, then the action which was in the distant past is represented by past perfect tense, and the newer action in the past, relatively newer action, is represented by past simple tense. I did not go to the theater because I had already watched that movie in the distant past. We will discuss more about it later in our tutorial. In this tutorial, we will discuss the affirmative form, negative form, and question form of past perfect tense. We will discuss when do we use past perfect tense, and in the end we will do some exercises to judge our knowledge. Okay, the affirmative form of past perfect tense. In this example, we have got a sentence, I had read the book before I came here. I is subject, had is the third form of to be, and read is the past participle of main verb. This is subject, this is auxiliary verb, and for past perfect tense we use had, and this is the main verb, and we use the past participle form of the main verb. For affirmative forms, I had read the book before I came here. Let's see how do we use past perfect tense with different pronouns. I had read the book before I came here. He had read the book. She had read the book. It had read the book. You had read the book. They had read the book. We had read the book. So we see that for past perfect tense we use had with all the pronouns and different subjects, and we use the third form of the verb or the past participle form of the verb. This verb read, to read, is an irregular verb, and its second form is written like this, but it's spoken like read. This is read, read, and the third form is also read. So it is easier to use past perfect tense because we use had with all the pronouns, and we use the third form of the main verb. We can also use the contracted form of had. There is I'd read the book, he'd read the book, she'd read the book, it'd read the book, you'd read the book, they'd read the book, and we'd read the book. Here we have used the contracted form I'd instead of I had, he'd instead of he had. Usually we use the contracted form in the spoken English, and we write it like this in the written form. Now let's see how do we use past perfect tense in the negative form. It's really simple. You just have to add not between had and past participle form of the main verb. Let's see an example. I had not read the book before I came here. Here we have got this part of the sentence in past perfect tense. We have got the subject, then we have got had, and then we have got not for the negation, for the negative form, and then we have got the third form or the past participle form of the main verb. Subject plus had, there is an auxiliary verb, plus not, plus the third form of the verb, main verb. Let's see it in detail with different pronouns. I had not read the book before I came here. He had not read the book. She had not read the book. It had not read the book. You had not read the book. They had not read the book. And we had not read the book. Remember that here there are two actions from the past. One, which is relatively newer, is represented by past simple tense, and the one which is relatively older is represented by past perfect tense. Now there are different contracted forms of past perfect form, past perfect tense. The first one is hadn't. Here we shorten had not to hadn't. So with different pronouns we use I hadn't read the book before I came here. He hadn't read the book. She hadn't read the book. It hadn't read the book. You hadn't read the book. They hadn't read the book. We hadn't read the book. Mostly, we use the contracted form in spoken English. There is an other contracted form, and it is I'd not read the book before I came here. Here we have contracted I had as I'd, he had as he'd not read the book, she'd not read the book, it'd not read the book, you'd not read the book, they'd not read the book, and we'd not read the book. And this contracted form is also mostly used in spoken English. Now let's see the question form of past perfect tense. The example is, had I read the book before I came here? If we recall that the affirmative form is I had read the book before I came here. For question form, we interchange had with the subject. So the question form is formed like this: had, the auxiliary verb comes first in the sentence, then the subject, and then the past participle of main verb. Let's see it in detail with different pronouns. Had I read the book before I came here? Had he read the book? This is the third form or the past participle form. It is written like read, but it is spoken like read. Had she read the book? And in the end we have got question mark. Had it read the book? Had you read the book? Had they read the book? And had we read the book? There are other question forms with the question words why, what, how, where, who. Let's see an example. What had you done? If you see that we have just added the question word in front of had, so the question form with the question words of past perfect tense is formed with the question word, then had, then subject, and in the end past participle form of the main verb. This is auxiliary verb and this is the main verb. Let's see a few examples. What had you done? Why had he laughed? Where had he gone? How had they talked? Who had slept? Now you see that for the regular verbs we can easily form the past participle form by adding ed in the end. For example, with laugh we just add ed and it forms the past participle form of the main verb laughed. But there are irregular verbs, and for those irregular verbs, we have to remember the second and the third form by heart. For that, we should be using some good dictionary. And you can watch my tutorial on how do we form different second and third form of these irregular verbs. And for regular verbs, we just add ed in the end. So talk is talked, laugh is laughed, walk is walked. But there are different rules for irregular verbs, and we have to remember them by heart. Now we will discuss in which situations do we use past perfect tense. There are 5 main scenarios in which we use past perfect tense. The first one is completed action before an other action in the past. Something occurred before an other action in the past, or something happened before a specific time in the past. So let's draw a timeline. This area shows the past area. This is present, and this is future. So we use past perfect tense when something occurred in the past before another action in the past. This is a relatively newer action, and this is relatively an older action that occurred before this action number 1. So action number 2 will be represented in past perfect tense. Or if an action occurred or happened before a specific time, for example T1 in the past, then that is also represented by past perfect tense. Let's see a few examples. She had never seen such a big building before she went to London. Let's say that she went to London over here, and before that she had never seen such a big building. So the older action is represented by past perfect tense. Similarly, he knew the ending of the movie because he had already read the novel in the distant past. We could not enter because we had no reservation. Had you ever heard of Amsterdam before your visit in 2000? So you visited Amsterdam in 2000, and I'm asking you, had you ever heard of Amsterdam before 2000, before that specific time? We also use past perfect tense for the situations in which an action in the past until another action in the past. That is, something started in the past and continued up until another action in the past. And we use past perfect tense for non-continuous verbs and mixed verbs non-continuous usage. So we do not use past perfect tense for every verb. In this scenario, we only use it for non-continuous verbs and mixed use of mixed verbs. So let's draw a timeline. This is past, this represents present, and here we have got our future. So an action started in the past and it continued until another action in the past. And for non-continuous verbs and for some mixed verbs, we will use past perfect tense. Some examples are: I had that laptop since 2010 before it was stolen. I had that laptop since 2010 up until, let's say, 2015, until it was stolen. So I can use past perfect tense in this scenario. Another example is, they did not want to sell that car because they had owned it for 10 years. In this scenario, we also use past perfect tense. We cannot say they were owning it for 10 years and use past continuous tense. Therefore, here we use past perfect tense. And other example is, by the time I reached there, I had been in the bus for 6 hours. I had been in the bus for 6 hours until I reached there. So we also use past perfect tense for a continued action in the past until another action in the past. And we can use specific times or phrases with the past perfect tense, but it is not necessary. We can use past simple tense for the same sentences, and we can use the past perfect tense for the same sentences, and both would be correct. An example is, he had visited London twice in 2010 before he moved there in 2015. Either we can use past perfect tense for this scenario, or we can say he visited London twice in 2010 before he moved there in 2015. Both the usage of past perfect tense and past simple tense in this situation is correct. We are using specific times, therefore we can use both the tenses. One more thing we have to discuss is, where do we place a grammatical adverb? For example, always, only, previously, etc. in the past perfect tense. For example, you had previously played cricket before you moved to England. Therefore, we use the grammatical adverb between had, auxiliary verb, and the main verb. And for negative forms, we place the adverb, grammatical adverb, between you had not, auxiliary verb, not, and main verb. And for the question forms, we placed it between the subject and the main verb. So let's see the examples. You had previously played cricket before you moved to England. You had not previously played cricket before you moved to England. Had you previously played cricket before you moved to London? So, in this slide we learned how do we use or place grammatical adverbs in the past perfect tense. We use past perfect tense in another situation, and that is when we have got present perfect or past simple tense in the direct speech and we want to convert it in the indirect speech. So let's discuss what is a direct speech and what is an indirect speech. Here we have got an example. Fechner said, comma, double quotes, I am hungry, double quotes closed, full stop. This is an example of direct speech because we are showing that what did Fechner actually said himself. And if we want to convert it or write it in the indirect speech, then we would write Fechner said that he was hungry. Fechner said I am hungry, double quotes, and for indirect speech we use Fechner said that he was hungry. So you see that here the past present simple tense is changed into past simple tense, and if the sentence is in present perfect form or past simple form, then it would be changed into past perfect tense in the indirect speech. So let's understand it with some examples. Past perfect tense and present perfect tense. How do we change the present perfect tense into past perfect tense in the indirect speech? Fechner said, comma, double quotes, I have eaten, double quotes closed, full stop. Now this direct speech is in present perfect tense, and when we represent it in the indirect speech, then it would change into past perfect tense. Example, Fechner said that he had eaten. Past perfect tense have been changed into past perfect tense. Present perfect into past perfect. Similarly, if the direct speech is in past simple, then it would also change into past perfect tense in the indirect speech. For example, Fechner said, comma, double quote, I ate pizza, double quotes closed, full stop. To change it into an indirect speech, we would say Fechner said that he had eaten pizza. So past simple is also changed into past perfect tense. And we also use past perfect tense for the conditional situations in the past. Here are few examples. If he had come, comma, he would have got that job. So here for the conditional situation we are using past perfect tense. Similarly, if I had slept earlier, comma, I would have not been late. Conditional situation in the past. If you had called me, I would have come. Conditional situation in the past. So we use past perfect tense for the conditional situations in the past. Now let's discuss some common mistakes related to past perfect tense. This sentence is wrong. He never saw a TV before he came here. We cannot use past simple tense in both parts of this sentence. The correct form would be he had never seen. So it's an irregular verb and the third form is seen. See, saw, seen. The right form or the correct sentence is he had never seen a TV before he came here. So we use past perfect tense in this scenario. Similarly, for example, in direct speech we have a sentence, he said, comma, double quotes, I ate. And if we write it like this, he said that he ate, then it's in the wrong form because this past simple has to be changed into past perfect tense in the indirect speech. So for the indirect speech we will write he said that he had eaten. Now this is the time for some exercise. Here we have got a sentence and we have to change this verb or action in past perfect tense. She, within brackets, called me before leaving the house. So please change it into past perfect tense. What will you write? Yes, she had called me before leaving the house. Very good. And here call is a regular verb, so its third form is called. Similarly, if I ask you to change into negative form, what will you write? Yes, she had not called me before leaving the house. Similarly, the question form would be had she called me before leaving the house? Let's take another example. He called because she come. If we want to change it into affirmative past perfect tense form, then it would be he called because she had come, conditional. Similarly, for the negative form, we would write he called because she hadn't come. She had not come. To change it into the question form, we would write did, because now we are changing the past simple form he called in the question form. Did he call? Because she had come? Question mark. So another sentence to do some more exercise. He said that he, brackets, already read, bracket close, that book. Let's change it into affirmative form. What will it be? He said that, yes, he had already read that book. And if I ask you to change into the negative form, what will you write? He said that, yes, he had not already read the book. And to change it into the question form, we will write did he say that he had already read the book? Question mark. So guys and girls, thank you very much for joining me to discuss about past perfect tense. If you will like to learn more, then please visit ifectioner.com. Please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. I will see you in the next lesson. Until then, take care. Bye bye.